Hey, welcome back to another edition of Avidgolfer Magazine's Drive Time feature. We've showcased a lot of great cars, a lot of fun cars, luxury cars, everything you'd want. This time, we unveil the much anticipated BMW M3 Competition, the 2021 version. Big thanks to our folks over at Classic BMW in Plano for the use of this vehicle, because this is fun. This is a car aficionado's dream. You can track it, you can take people in it. It's actually kind of luxurious, but it is a hoot to drive, and it has so many options, so many ways you can change the tech and the drive modes and so forth. You'll never get tired of this car. So let's take a quick look, actually a long look, at the BMW M3 Competition. All right, let's talk about the front, because the front, kind of controversial. Anything is controversial when you make a change. So instead of a horizontal grille, it's more of a vertical grille on the M3. Some BMW fans kind of trying to get used to it. I'll tell you this right now. It's kind of like online dating. You have to see the real picture. You have to see what's real to get a full depiction of what you're getting. When you see this in person, I think it looks much better than what the pictures depict. So, again, the more I see it, the more I like it. Now, of course, this is an M, has very bold air intakes, has laser lighting, and it swivels, and they are bright. So these things look really good. And they also have airfoils on the side here to cool off and a little more aerodynamics and so forth. But I think this front looks great. It's bold, it's formidable, and it looks like it means something. And that's what's great about this. Now, on the top here, they've changed the design of this a little bit. They have indentations here, here, and one that kind of slowly morphs into this right down in right through the badge. I like it. The only difference is when you're driving it, you really can't see it. It looks like more of a straight hood, so that's a little bit different. But again, all in all, I think this thing fits perfectly, especially for this beefier chassis motif. One other aspect I want to mention from a design standpoint and tracking standpoint is the way this is designed. It forces air in, but doesn't allow a lot of air underneath, so it keeps the car nice and grounded when you're doing your laps on the track. I think that's a nice feature. This is the power center of the M3 Competition 3.0 liter that has, for the competition, 503 horsepower, 479 pound-feet of torque. You get the regular M, 473 and 406. You can see they got twin braces here, but this thing means business, and it cooks. Wait till we start driving. All right, this is essentially a street legal track car. So, these tires are monstrous, and man, they hold like you wouldn't believe. Now, they're not the Michelin P4s or anything. These are the run flats, Pirellis. Get this, 275, 35, 19s in the front. I mean, this thing will track like crazy. You also have the air vents coming in the side. Larger brake calipers right here. You can make these either blue, red, or black. And these things will stop in quick order. You can also change the settings when you're driving if you want it in sport brake mode or regular road mode. So it gives you some options there. But man, these things are, in the back, they're even bigger. They're 285, 30, 20s. So you're not going anywhere when you're making a turn. It's gonna be like just on rails, baby. So this is really cool. All right, so let's talk about some extra design features. By the way, this Brooklyn gray paint, been getting a lot of thumbs up from my friends who are really into cars. And it's a unique look because it's It's got some gray, maybe a tinge of blue, but I think it looks good when you're looking at all the, it shows all the highlights of the design of the car. You have glossy black in a lot of the areas of this car, M3 competition. You have the side skirts right here that are more pronounced, and that is gloss black. And the side view mirrors, one thing, you can put your hand through it right through here, probably for more aerodynamics, kind of a cool look, and they do fold in when you want to. All right, we were talking about the rear tires. These are 285 30 20s. So 20-inch tires, nice blackened rims. I really like this. And again, you have the blue brake calipers back here. Here's the crazy thing. When you move towards the, like a rear 3/4 panel, look at how much this bulges out. I think this just screams business right here. And it has to, because these tires are huge. So see how that comes out a little bit? I think that looks really good. As we move down here, again, more black, glossy black trim. You have a racing diffuser back here. Quad exhaust. You have a black spoiler with a little indentation right here. I kind of like that. I just think this car looks great from any angle. It just screams wow. Quad exhaust. And that means to me, it means business. It has a low growl to it. It is really tuned nicely. And wait till you hear this thing. All right, so look to see what we got in here for the trunk. It's the same size as your normal 3 Series. You have cutouts back here. They will easily fit golf clubs horizontally or diagonally, even with the driver in there. That's really cool. But the difference between this and a normal 3 Series is these rear seats do not fold down. That's for the structure of the chassis and everything when you're tracking this car. This is, again, more about racing than it is about street driving. So most people that are into these cars, they already realize that, so we're not telling them anything new. All right, let's take a look at the interior of this M3 competition. Be the same as the regular M3, where you have a lot of leg room back here. 4 adults can sit in this car pretty darn comfortably. The 5th guy, you have to be right here. I don't know where you put your legs, but it doesn't really matter. 4 people can fit comfortably. The seats, nice leather, little vent here, just a little more ventilation. And these seats do not come down, like I said, but you do have a pass-through. So you can load some longer things through here, whatever you're gonna want with that. You have Harman Kardon speakers all the way around. The sound is excellent. I also love this. It's a nice touch without being ostentatious. Seat belts, but they have a nice M3 stitching on there. I think that's a really nice touch. Other than that, you have USB ports back here, and you can change the ventilation back here, and you have vents. That's about it. But again, this has a carbon fiber roof, so it saves about 8 to 10 pounds. So allegedly lowers your center of gravity and helps you track a little bit better as well. If you don't get the carbon fiber, you will get a sunroof in the front. So there you go. All right, let's talk about the driver's side, because this is where the BMW really shines. It's a driving car. It's the ultimate driving vehicle, ultimate driving experience, whatever you want to call it. First of all, you have the M steering wheel, a little bit thicker. It does have some nice cool stitching, just like in the seat belts. I like that. Carbon fiber, this is the carbon fiber interior option. You have it on the where the cup holders go and your wireless charger cup holders. Put that down. That's about 950 bucks. And you also have carbon fiber on the trim here. I just think this thing lays out perfectly. You have normal controls on here, cruise control, telephone. If you want to voice activate something, hi BMW, you can do that. Now what's interesting about this, as opposed to a normal 3 Series, is you have much bigger paddle shifters here, and those are also in carbon fiber. And then here and here, you have mode 1 and mode 2, so you don't have to go scrambling. So if I do it like this, right now, you can see, and that's the gesture control. Ah, that's funny. Anyway, if I go to setup, and I want to change things around. Now, let's say I want to go to M1. Now it changes everything. I have the engine in Sport Plus, which will make it the loudest as far as the exhaust goes. It also has an exhaust button here. I can turn that on or off. You can change the chassis, you can change steering, you can change brake, and so it all works really, really well. But this just makes it easier. So if you're driving, you don't want to be fiddling with stuff. I hate fiddling. When I'm driving, I want to drive, and I think those are nice touches for that. You have your control panel here, or your instrumentation here, and you have your control panel here. If I start this up, so I can change this. I'm going to take this out of Sport Plus just so that you can hear me a little bit better. As I go through these, I can change this setting a little bit. I can change this to, as you can see here, I can change all these different controls at 181 miles, and there's my tire pressure, and there's my oil temp, and my horsepower and torque, and that's for G's when you're hitting into turns. Station I'm listening to, that tells you what I'm in right now, which is nice, and I can just go back to I'm in park right now. I like that. You can change the middle display. You can make that a map or what stations you're listening to. I usually keep the map on. It also has a head-up display, which tells you, the speed limit, what you're going. You can also put it in sport mode, and it'll have a tachometer over that as well. So that's kind of cool. I think the seats are very supportive. Now, these are the base seats. I think they're perfect. You can also get carbon fiber seats where there could be two-tone. They have more of a plasticky type backing to them, or it's carbon fiber, and that costs about $3,500. I have not had the chance to try those. Maybe if you're more into racing, you might like that. Just kind of depends, but for me, I think this is just perfect. I can also tighten up the bolsters on the side. I can change the lumbar in the back, so it works out really well. You can really customize this car. It has the normal 8 presets, whatever you want to do here, and that's about it for that. Now let's talk about some of the stuff in this instrumentation. So again, if I go to car and I can go to an M menu, I can do the head-up display. I can change everything from configure view. I have it in road. Now I want to put it in sport. That'll give me the tachometer, which is kind of cool. And I can go ahead and configure my M1 and M2. You can change these from sport. You can change the transmission. So if I go to transmission here, I can go in kind of base mode, D1, D2, D3. What that does, it just changes the shift points. It'll hold it longer, the sportier you want it. Do the same thing for the suspension. You can go crazy on this too. Steering, comfort and sport, and you can also turn off or turn on the traction control. You can turn off or on the start stop. You can, here's the control sound. So if I do this, and I can turn that down, and that's how that works. So again, it's very customizable. I like always having the exhaust on, but that works out pretty well. Now, as far as when you're driving, I put this drive mode. Let's say I want to back up. So now you have a front view, you have a back view, you can have a 360 view, which I love. I hate driving into the lanes or parking into the lanes. Drives me crazy. It's harder to see because you really can't see the front when you're driving. But if I put this in reverse and I hit the backup assistant what this is going to do, watch, I'll show you. No hands. It's going to track back about 150 feet of how I got there. So when you're trying to get out of a tight space, pretty darn cool, wouldn't you say? I like it. I have a narrow driveway opening, and I just let that do its magic, and it is incredible. So put this back into park, and then so I want to hit the media. I can put this in any different of modes. Sirius, FM, I can do Spotify, I can do all that. Got your nav. Nav works great. It's really easy. You can either do by voice control, or you can do by touchscreen. By the way, the touchscreen, or you can use the i7, the iDrive. iDrive 7 works out really well. I'm very familiar with it, and I like the way it, I like having a bunch of different controls and options for it. I can set up my driver profiles if I want, and everything else just fits nicely. It's a lot of gloss here, a lot of gloss here. Got the carbon fiber here. You have more USB down here. Decent storage. You have cup holders down here as well. They hold pretty good size cup of H2O or whatever you want to drink while you're driving. Good cubby holders here, and it's everything you want. I mean, you can keep this as busy as you want. You can turn it off as you want. I just think this thing for a track car that you can drive on the street, I think it's all you want. And like I said, base is about $72,800. This one is $81,000, and that's because of the carbon fiber and some other options, but you can load it up for as little as you want. So that's the interior, and now it's time to drive this baby. All right, now it's time to take this ultimate driving machine for a spin. Again, this is the M3 Competition. A little more horsepower, 503 versus 473 on the regular M, and then 476 pound-feet of torque versus 406 with the regular M. So let's give this puppy a jolt and see what happens. Now I have to be kind of careful with this. The break-in period is about 1,200 miles on these type of engines, so I can't really floor it, can't go crazy, but I can give you a pretty good idea what it feels like and drives. This, by the way, this shifter here, I really like this because it has the, again, more stitching for the M, and it has a little shifter here on the left that you can change the shift points on your transmission. Pretty cool. So let's give this thing a ride. 3.8 seconds, 0 to 60 in the Competition, about 4.1 in the regular M. But remember, BMW always underestimates their horsepower or understates their horsepower and their torque and their 0 to 60 for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe it makes you feel better when you better it. But yeah, they've historically always done that. Sounds great. God, I love that sound. And in comfort, for the chassis, for the suspension, doable. I could handle this as a daily driver. Now, these roads here in Irving, Texas are horrible. So this is a good indicator of what you can put up with. If you have a young spine, you can do this all day long. But the handling is so nice. I mean, you look big old tires, 275s in the front, 285s in the back, 19 inches in the front, 20 inches in the back. Gives you all the handling and grip you need. Oh, this is so much fun. So much fun. Now, if I put this in other modes, let me put it in M1 mode. I'll put it, and also put it in manual. Shifts are flawless. In the Competition, you only get an 8-speed automatic. In the regular M, you can get manual transmission. You can also get this in all-wheel drive rear wheel bias, or you can take off all the traction controls and it's only rear wheel when you want to do some drifting or whatever. But I think this feels really good. For a long trip, I don't know, maybe. But when you're going around town, or especially when you're going to the track, like those tracksters will want to do, that's why you want a car like this, to go all out as much as you can. And again, you can get the ceramic brakes for the for tracking. It reduces the brake fade and the heat, so that's kind of cool. When I look out the front, like I was telling you earlier, you really can't see all the new designs at the front of the hood. It looks fairly straight. There's nothing, no bubble up, no real sportiness on that part. But when you look at it from the outside, it looks pretty darn tasty. Again, everything else looks, just handles excellent. You got all your lighting controls over here. You have your steering. It's all manual. So when you want to change this up and back telescopically, you can go ahead and do that. The radio sounds terrific. And other than that, that's pretty much everything you want to know about the M3 competition. Again, big thanks to Classic BMW in Plano, Texas for the use of this. Get a little sneak peek, because by the time this video comes out, it will be there'll be a lot of talk about it, and all in a good way. It's just one of those cars. It's a street legal track car, and when you get to do that, it shows you even with this pretty good turning radius right there, even with the big old wheels and everything. If you put this in drive mode, works out great. If I want to put this in plus, you can see this as far as the tachometer goes and the head-up display. I'll try and take a picture of this. You can actually see what that looks like. Looks pretty cool. Also has kick points, so when it tells you to shift if you're overdoing it. Again, 1,200 miles to break it in. Maybe down the road I can drive one that has broken in, but for right now I want to baby it a little bit, because one, it's not my car. I always like to bring things back better than when I got them. As my dad always taught me. So brakes are excellent. I mean, everything about this car is just so much fun. If you're a driving enthusiast, you're hard pressed not to like this. It's just sublime. Just sublime. Really good turning. Oh, this is so great. Okay, I'm going to take a picture of the tachometer and everything, so you can see what this looks like in head-up display. While I do this, you can see what this looks like. All right, there you go. Okay, that's my videographer Jason. He'll make good work of it. Everybody in the neighborhood had to see it. Everybody that, when I was on the road, they had to see it. In a parking lot, they had to see it. I think it just has a great presence about it. It just means business. I love the flared haunches in the back. It just looks so robust, and it just makes me giggle. Just makes me giggle. Excellent handling. Again, I'm not doing much for the handling part, but it just shows you that it's right on point. And this is just an extension of your eyes. Wherever your eyes want to go or looking, the car will take it that way if that's what you want to do. Nice low rumble. Love the exhaust on this. Fantastic. There it is. The M3 competition. BMW. Lovely. Just lovely. So there you go. It's the 2021 M3 competition. People have been waiting forever to see how this thing was going to look, drive, feel, everything else. You can track it. You can do really whatever you want with this car. And here's the deal. It's about 72 grand to start base. This one's tapped at about 81,000, 81.8. You can add more options if you'd like. But again, big thanks to the folks over at Classic BMW in Plano for the use of this ride, because it just made my heart, just felt so good. So check it out, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page at Avidgolfer Magazine.